Hey everyone, it's Sarah here, and if you and I are just meeting or you're new to my community, I am so excited that you're here. I'm a mindset coach and a strategist, and I work primarily with women entrepreneurs who want to find a business, create a life for them that is much more joyful, much more fulfilling. And those are usually driven, high performing women who have burnt out at one point. And today I really want to share with you my story, my experience, and how you can take nuggets from it and apply it to your own life, your own relationships, your own business to make it much more exciting, much more meaningful, and easier. See, like I said in the intro here, this is the first spring that I'm spending here in my home country after like 14 years. 14 years ago, I moved from my country of Slovenia, a small town, like 10,000, 20,000 people, where everybody knows each other, and moved to New York to play basketball. And first, I actually went for like 4 years, thinking I was going to come back, but then I met the love of my life, settled there, got a job, lost a job, started a business, started a family, and the rest is history. So being here during spring after all these years, it's one of the most incredible experiences that I get to share with my two little ones. And I'm so excited, I'm so proud, I'm so grateful for the fact that they get to be here and they got to come out of their own shells and really explore what nature has to offer. They're 5 and 3, so of course their whole world is filled with curiosity and all those little magical moments when they get to you might be hearing them in the background. They're screaming and squealing and giggling and laughing and playing. It's an amazing experience to see them. But for myself, what was the most eye-opening thing thus far, since I've been here for 2 months now, was a conversation that I had this morning with a friend of mine who I got to spend many years together, play basketball with her. And she overcame a very, very difficult time in her own life where her life was threatened. And that leaves you changed. You know, it shifts your perspective, it changes the order of your priorities, it gives you a whole new outlook on life, it gives you a whole new appreciation for things that most of us take for granted. And when we were talking about it, there are so many things that we relate to one another. And I really want to share with you that no matter what happens, no matter the circumstances, as hard as it could be to imagine or to believe, you are always in control, or you create your own destiny. No one else has that power over you. No one else. You are the one. I know sometimes it can be really hard to understand that, whether you have a job, whether you have a business, whether you're stay at home, you are going through experiences when you doubt in yourself, when you blame yourself, when you feel guilty, when you feel ashamed, when you feel overwhelmed, scared. I've been through, and I'm going to share some of more painful experiences that some of them I have never shared before. But I think the key here is to really understand that whatever it is that you're going through, at any moment you choose to stop. You choose how you're going to react for every situation. And that is the beautiful thing about a human brain, and us as a people, we get to decide. Now, when I lost my job the same week I found out I was pregnant, back in 2011, I was like, okay, I gotta figure something out. My baby's on the way, and my husband and I just moved out of New York City into the suburbs, bought a house, and I was like, okay, gotta figure something out, right? So I started a business. I had no contacts. I have no, starting from the scratch, ground zero, had to start building it up, and I was on a deadline that was not mine. So I did every mistake that there is to make when it comes to networking, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to cold calling, when it comes to selling, when it comes to even structuring the services and supporting clients. But those are things that no one teaches you. And it taught me a lot about myself. And at the time, I remember one of the greatest assets that I had was still that grit, that perseverance, the mental toughness of an athlete. Because for over 15 years, I was a basketball player, internationally recruited basketball player, played for a national team, being a team captain on pretty much every team that I played for. So there was that great asset. But that same thing landed me in the ER twice later on. And that is the thing that I really wanted to talk to you about today, when my friend from this morning and I were talking about it too, and that was the same thing that happened for her. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because I'm seeing my clients go through the same cycle. So when you are the driven, high-powered entrepreneur, a woman who is unbreakable, who is independent, who is strong, maybe you were even raised with the notion that you always have to have your own money, you always have to maintain your independence, you always have to be tough, right? You always have to be reliable, you always have to show up because others depend on you. That is the blueprint imprinted in your mind, imprinted on your soul. This is how you're showing up. And sooner rather than later, you start to realize that the work that you're producing has some amazing results. Because honestly, when you look around, people are amazed. They are inspired by you. They marvel your success. They are just wow, right? When they look at your life from the outside. But you know that on the inside, the work that you do is not quite fulfilling, that there's something missing, that there's something more. Life that you're living, it sometimes feels like a cage, right? Where you can see on the outside, but you can't quite get it. And when you have the programming of money is the solution, money that dictates your self-worth, it's one of the traps that is extremely hard to get out of. And I was there. And I remember when I would wake up in the morning with a pit in my stomach, going over the numbers on my credit cards, going over in my mind the bank statements, and going over the list of prospects and my schedule that was empty. And I knew that I had something to offer. I knew I was brilliant. I knew those clients that I got to work with had an amazing experience, had incredible results. Yet I was unable to duplicate it from me. And every single thing I put out there had that signature of, I hope this works, and I hope this brings the money that I need this month to cover my expenses. That was that short-term mentality, that was a short-term focus, and everything went through that money lens. And I remember feeling exhausted. I remember feeling depleted. I remember feeling like a fraud almost. And it landed me in the ER. My littlest one was just about to celebrate her birthday. We were getting ready for her birthday party when I walked into the kitchen, and I was like, I feel weird. I had chest pain. I couldn't really take a deep breath because it was just so painful. And my arm was hurting. And my husband was looking at me. He's like, are you okay? I was like, yes, I'm fine. Of course, I'm fine, right? He's like, no, we're going to go to the ER. Luckily, at the time, it was an anxiety attack. The first anxiety attack that I had. But I brought it upon myself because I focused on the wrong things. I thought I could do it all, and I was holding in myself things that should have been said, things that should have been expressed in personal life, through creativity, through open communication, in my marriage, in relations to my team, in relations to my parents, in relations to my friends, in relations to my clients. I was holding them in and they were suffocating me, but I was not aware of that, and I was proud and I was strong and I was independent. I was unbreakable. thinking that if I express those things, if I admit that the certain way that I felt, that I'm gonna be judged, and the only person judging was myself. So it really brought me, like, it broke me. It really, really broke me. And the painful thing is, that's not something that you decide one morning, like, okay, I'm fine, I'm gonna fix, right? It took a lot of courage, it took a lot of strength, it took a lot of determination to, first and foremost, bring myself to the point of asking for help, thinking that for a long time, I don't need help, I should know this, I should know that, right? Didn't work that way. So one thing led to another, and I finally decided to bring my kids from New York to Slovenia. And that was one of the most difficult decisions that I have made. Parting with my husband at the airport in February was like, it brings tears to my eyes when I remember them, the little ones, and him hugging. They, of course, were excited for the trip. He knew 4 months how long that's going to take, and I was there still feeling guilty about it, even though for months prior to that I was going through every scenario in my mind, justifying the fact that why we're leaving, why we're not staying, why we needed this, why I needed this, why is this better in the long term. So remember when I mentioned when I was chasing money in business with short-term one-off projects, looking for everything through that lens? That was the same thing. For a long time I thought, well, I have great life. My husband is amazing. He really is supportive. He loves me. He's an incredible father. He loves the kids. He works hard. He really, really is loyal, and not a bad word that I could say about him. Like, what am I doing? Why am I so selfish? Why am I so stupid? Why am I so, right, narrow-minded or insane that I would walk away from something like this, even if for 4 months, right? Why do I need this? And it was the same with business. And the reason why I want to share this with you so openly and from heart, there's no scripts here, is that I see it every single time how we are putting ourselves last. How when you feel something, when you know there's something that you should go after, when you feel disconnected from the work that you do, when you are just chasing that one tangible evidence out there that you are deserving, that you are worthy, that you are brilliant. In my case, it was the bank account. In your case, I don't know, it might be a bank account too, or it might be something else. That is a thing. It doesn't come from the outside. It starts within. And the decision, the moment that you wake up in the morning and you decide, I am worthy, this no longer serves me, I am going to do whatever I need to do to take care of myself, I know that then everything else will follow. I know that when I am strong, when I am healthy, when I am happy, everybody around me will feel that. And those who don't no longer belong in my circles. The moment that you give yourself permission to feel that, to say that, to want that, I promise everything changes, because everything starts falling into place then. And when my girls and I came here, I felt shift immediately. First, it was just different environment. It was different energy. It was different culture. And one of the biggest things for me personally was that in New York, I love New York City, but I felt over past several years, I really felt isolated. I felt alone, I felt lonely, and I just felt like an outsider, that I did not belong there. And it was really hard to articulate because, like I said, I kept seeking for the reasons within me. And I kept justifying, well, I'll just stay up till 3 in the morning. I'll be working harder. I'll be grinding harder. Maybe that will work. Maybe that will work. I invested in this business coach and that strategist. And like, you name them, I invested in, thinking that they had the magic key. Thinking that they have the answer, thinking that they could fix me. But there was nothing wrong. And if you in any way relate to this, there is nothing wrong with you. You are living the life that you were told you're supposed to live. You are acting and reacting in a way that you were taught you were supposed to. And you are judging yourself for things that you were not taught and you somehow think you should know, or you should, learn some way. But the only way to learn is through living them, through experience, or working with somebody who's been there, who can show you the ropes, who can show you the way, the shortcuts. So when we got here, my little ones, like, it was an amazing noticing how their energy shifted, how some of the issues that they dealt with, in New York, they just disappeared, they went away. And with me, one of the greatest things for me is that, at any moment, I have my family here, I have friends here. We walk outside. If you're following me here, you probably see a lot of pictures from the outdoors. I was like, that's in my freaking DNA. And I forgot how much I love hiking, how much I love being outside. And I try to squeeze myself in a box. I try to squeeze myself in, put labels on me that somebody else created that did not fit me. And it was the most freeing moment when I decided that no longer served me, and then I'm going to find a way. Now, when it comes to this, the reason why I want to tell you really raw, unfiltered, unscripted, is that a lot of times that's the ledge that I see my clients also standing on. And you know that you need to jump in order for your parachute to open, in order for wings to catch the air so you can fly. But taking that leap is the scariest thing, because you don't know what's underneath. You don't know how it's going to work out. No one has done it before in your life. No one has done it before right? You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if it's going to work. You don't know if you're going to land, break an arm, or get bruised, or if you're going to fly. You don't know. And above it all, the fear of hurting those who are nearest and dearest to our hearts, to upset them, to anger them, to disappoint them, to make them feel abandoned. All of those things are little gremlins on your shoulders who are trying to pull you back, saying, oh no, just keep going, just stay, see you're doing fine, look at the results that you're getting. It's all ego, because that ego, it loves status quo, it loves safety, but your soul feels trapped. Your soul feels like a bird on a chain, unable to fly. And that is the most excruciating pain that you can't show for, but you feel it. Thank you, Robin. Thanks, Junior. Yeah, absolutely. You totally get this. I'm so excited for you. But when you're standing there and you're looking and you're like, when you close your eyes and you see the vision, you see how your future is supposed to look like, because not supposed to look like, it's already created. If you can envision it, means that you have the capacity to create it. But it's like, am I selfish? Am I stupid? Can I really do this? But my bank account, right? Again, we go back to, hey Anna, we go back to those external evidence that our ego is seeking to show you that, see, you can't pull this off. See how many times you have failed in the past. See how many times you got hurt in the past. See how many investments you have made that didn't pay off. See how many times you were told no and you got hurt, or whatever it is. But at any moment, again, you have the power to reframe that. Thank you, I love you, but right now, let's focus on the positive stuff. Let's see why I can do it. Let's see why I can make it happen. Let's see why I do deserve it. Why am I worthy? And those things come from within. They come from your heart. They come from your soul. They cannot be taught. And once I understood that, it was like a whole new world opened up. And people who are following me, they would comment or they would send me messages like, Sarah, you changed. Your energy changed. I was like, of course. But the funny thing was that I kept judging myself. I kept judging myself for the fact that over past 3.5 years, I have evolved so much. My business have evolved so much that there was not one thing that I could say, this is what I do. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to put the flag in the ground and I'm going to put my arms up and that's it. Some people can. Some people can find that one thing and they can do the thing for the rest of their lives. I was not one of those people, and I was judging myself again, thinking that I am weaker, thinking that I am confused, thinking that I am whatever, something wrong with me. Again, seeking more people to fix me when there was nothing to be fixed. The thing is that we are all different. And let me just plug this in so we don't run out of juice. Let's see how we can do this. We are all different. And typically, 98% of people are not even going to resonate with things that you have to say because they are wired differently. They are on wholly different level. But if you are following me, if you are still here in this conversation, something is telling me that you are not those 98%, but you're not even 99%. You're at 1% who gets it, who is on another level, who has had life experiences that literally it was like life squeezing you in a corner, holding you by the throat, pulling the rug from underneath you and said, listen, you're going to pay attention now because this is not going to work. And you had to surrender. You had to let it go. You had to come to peace with the fact that you are just different, that you are meant for something more, for something different. And that not everybody around you is going to like it. And that not everybody around you is going to understand it. And not everybody around you is going to support you. And you have walked the path for a period of time when you were by yourself, lonely, alone, isolated, feeling like an outsider. Again, wondering what is wrong with me. Maybe you couldn't get out of the bed in the morning. Maybe you woke up exhausted. I don't know. In my case, I know it was when I looked at my kids. I was like, why are they so annoying and cranky and needy? And then I looked in the mirror. I was like, that's the source. I am the source of their crankiness and their energy. They are just reflecting it back. So I have this gratitude for them that I believe they came to my life for a reason to teach me one of the greatest lessons in life. And when you look around at people who are holding a mirror for you, and when you look around your life and you see what you have created, what you have attracted into your life, it's just a reflection on who you are on the inside. And if you don't like it, if you don't like your current reality, you have the choice to change that. You have the choice to decide, this no longer serves me. This no longer works for me. Those were my boundaries. I am recreating those boundaries. I am up-leveling them. You have the right to do that. No one can stop you from it. But please be mindful. That was one of the things that one of my mentors actually, it was an amazing conversation we had, and she said, just be sure that you're not creating barriers, but boundaries. And I want to really repeat that to you. Make sure that when you're establishing your boundaries, you're not creating the barriers, because barriers are just like building a wall around you. It's not serving you. It's still confining. You're still building your own box. When you're creating boundaries, you are establishing an agreement with yourself and with others. We can co-create. We can be curious. We don't have to have all the answers. We will see how far we can go, but this is where I draw the line, because this is the space that I need in order to expand, in order to grow, in order to be me, in order to honor myself. So I typically use the analogy of inflating a balloon, right? When you blow the air in, it expands. It needs room for growth. But when you don't blow the air in, it contracts. So what I keep saying to my clients, and when I work with them, or even with my own coach, right? I do have a coach, more than one in fact. And I believe every single person should have a coach. Because there's so much that we don't know about ourselves. There's so much that we don't understand about ourselves. There's so many blind spots we're unable to see, that if you really want to take it to the next level, if you really want to live the life that is fulfilling, there's going to be fears, there's going to be uncertainty, there's going to be limiting beliefs, there's going to be blocks coming up trying to keep us in that status quo. Again, thanks ego, right? A little gremlin on the shoulder. But if you don't feed it, it doesn't have any power over you. So, where was I? We were talking about... My mind's going like 300 miles an hour in 5 different directions. But when you decide that you are not available for things that are depleting you, for things that are bringing you down, for things that are compromising your own energy, you draw the line and you step away, you let them go. And when you're expanding, the thing is that you can only focus on one thing. It's just like your mind, it can focus on positive or negative. It doesn't have the capacity to focus on both. And here the same thing, you either expand or you contract. And if you choose expansion, if you choose growth, if you choose positive, you're going to see your energy is going to shift. Everything's going to start flowing into your life. But the moment that you crack the window open to the doubt, to fear, to judgment, to all the uncertainty that pits in your stomach that you wake up with, hey, that's all that fear needs to creep in. And it's almost like, you know how sometimes we see images of landslides where the whole neighborhood has been built on a hill and all of a sudden the hill just slid down when there was rain. It's possibly because it either has a stone underneath or clay, and that's waterproof and everything's just building up, but once it slides down. So that fear is almost like clay. It's underlying it all. And you can build up whatever you want. At one point, everything's going to slide down. So you have to make sure that the foundation is the right foundation. And that is the work that takes time, it takes persistence, and it takes guts. Because when you dive into the mindset work, when you dive into digging up those gremlins, into digging up those fears, limiting beliefs, when you choose to face the patterns that you have been repeating, maybe some are even generational patterns, it is not pretty. It is not pretty to look yourself in the eyes, to look yourself in the soul, and having to admit to yourself all the flaws, all the shortcomings, all the things that you are trying to hide, you are trying to suppress, you are trying to ignore. Because by the time you were pushing them aside, they were just getting bigger and growing bigger and becoming heavier. So it's almost like trying to carry suitcases through the doors. You can't fit 3 suitcases in yourself. Oh, hey Demetrius, hi from Slovenia. So great to see you. You can't simply fit those through the doors. You have to let them go in order to go through. Or you have to sort through and repack 3 suitcases into one, whatever it is. But all those things need to be dealt with. And one of the mistakes that we make is thinking that, oh, I just, dealt with this one thing and I'm fine. No, it's usually like peeling an onion. It comes in layers. And I'm pretty sure you have heard the expression, the next level, the next devil. That's exactly the same thing. The bigger the goals, the bigger the vision, the bigger the ambition, those blocks, those fears are going to be just proportionately larger as well, unless you deal with them. And, as a former athlete, it's so interesting to me that at the time I did not have the understanding, I did not have the knowledge, I did not have the experience, I did not have the reference point that I do now as an entrepreneur, as a mom, as a wife, as a mindset coach, to really understand how things work. But I do remember like it was yesterday when we were playing a French national team and they were undefeated and they had this reputation and we were leading in the game And at one point, when my teammates and I looked at each other, like, fuck, are we really doing this? No way. How could we? And we lost the game. It was that fear of success. And that in itself is the other side of the coin, right? So often we are dwelling on things that we don't have, dwelling the things on, oh, you're welcome, dwelling on the things that are not working, that we have failed at. But once we're faced with, what if this works? What if it actually works? When you start realizing the magnitude of what that success will create for you, the change that it will bring into your life, the confidence, the lifestyle, like 30, what can you translate that, Demetrius? I'm not sure what you're referring to, 30 to 33. That is another part where a lot of people stop. I can't possibly be that successful. I can't possibly create that. I can't possibly accomplish that. Or it becomes overwhelming because something comes up. It's like, oh, well, if you, from a lack of abundance. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's crazy what our mind will do to keep us where we are, thinking it's safe. And the craziest thing, and this is really insane, what we allow ourselves to tolerate, is, when you have conversations with people who annoy you and they ask you for support and you give an arm and a leg and they keep taking and they take advantage of you, and yet you keep showing up helping them some more, and then you turn around, it's like, I hate doing this, I don't know why I'm doing this, and you're beating yourself up. Again, it's the ego, it's the mind. There is still some sort of benefit in this pain, regardless of how painful, of how frustrating, of how infuriating it is. People pleaser, oh, absolutely, yeah. That you keep doing this thing. And it's a pattern. Again, it is a pattern that it has to be recognized and it has to be cut, and you make conscious decision. I am not doing this. But the tricky thing here is that, like with everything, you have a choice. You do it or you don't. You're in or you're out. Although there is a gray area in between, but just for illustration purposes. We choose to do something. We choose to play along. We choose to act in a certain way, and yet we complain because we have to follow through. We complain because things are not going whatever, right? And we complain about the choice that we have made. Or I'll never forget, somebody said, oh, I should be writing my copy because I'm launching something, but here I am watching Netflix for like 3 days straight and beating themselves up. Well, you made a choice to watch Netflix. What good does it do for you right now if you're beating yourself up over it? It doesn't. It doesn't serve you. It just creates more of those negative emotions, self-doubt, self-criticism, self-judgment. That's not serving you. It's not serving anybody around you. So I know right now we kind of went in 5 different directions from the initial concept of what I wanted to share with you. But all of those things I start to notice in my life. I start to notice them in people around me. And I start to notice them with those who I love the most. The patterns and the fear and the ego. And the hardest thing for me has been making peace with the fact that it's not on me to save them if they don't ask for help, if they're not open to receiving the support, if they're not willing to do the work it takes. And it can feel really paralyzing to see how you're growing, how you're changing, how you're evolving, and how you're leaving some people behind because they chose not to join on that path with you. And that's another thing when you're standing on the ledge, when you're about to take a leap and when you're about to jump and follow your dreams, that is holding you back. Again, looking for others as opposed to yourself. But like that friend of mine and I discussed this morning, when her life was threatened when she had to decide to finally take care of herself, to let go of certain standards, to let go of things that she was chasing for her entire life as a driven, ambitious, hardworking woman, mom, wife, former athlete. The results, tangible results she kept creating in her life. She had to let go of all of that, focus on herself, focus on internal stuff in order to heal herself. It left her a different person. It really left her a different person. And having that conversation with her and being able to really open up about what is that wakes us up in the morning, what is that lights you up, what is that keeps you going every day. It's like little things that many of us just takes for granted, but then at one point you start to really appreciate them. And I remember when I was battling postpartum depression after my second daughter, it was like this out of body experience when I saw myself sitting on a couch, depleted, sad, and when my 2.5-year-old at the time just wanted to play and just wanted to run around, and I had no energy, I had no desire to really do anything. I was just exhausted. And I remember looking down at myself, I was like, what the hell? Like, who are you? This is not Sarah. Who the hell is this person? And I remember, like, if I'm not gonna fight this fight for these two little ones, who am I gonna fight it for? And that was the first step that I took. And then through the work that I have done, I started to understand that it all started with me. It all starts within me. I had the power to change. I had the power to decide. I had the power to end that. I had the power to say, no, this stops right now. I do not want to live like this. I don't deserve to live like this. This is not what I want to do. This is not what they deserve. And I made a different choice. And I disconnected from the fact that I needed to justify anything to anybody, because it was for my own good. It was for thinking long term, right? The discomfort, the pain, the agony, the sadness, the anger, you name it, the roller coaster of emotions, those are momentarily. But looking at the long term, having the vision, what is that I even want to create? What is it I want from my life? What is it I wanted to create for my family? What kind of a role model do I want to be for my kids? How do I want to serve my community? How do I want to show up? What are the stories that I want to tell them? What is the stand that I'm taking for? What am I saying yes to? What am I saying no to? All of those little decisions followed after that, one after another, minute after minute, hour after hour, day after day, year after year. And there were some painful conversations with my husband that I had to have. There were some painful conversations with my friends that I had to have. There were some friendships that ended. And there are a lot of tears shared over those friendships. But at the end of the day, it's like having a trash can. And not a trash can, but having a can within which you're throwing your trash and the most prized possessions. You can't have both mixed up. You have to start taking things out that no longer support you, that no longer are a fit, that no longer work in your life. And you have to be kind to yourself, and you have to allow yourself to, yes, have those feelings, but at the end of the day, honor yourself. And understand that you are growing, you are evolving, you are changing. You are not the same person you were a year ago. You're not the same person you were 5 years ago. And the person that you're growing into, that you're going to be 5 years from now, oh my goodness. Like, I am so excited when I think about all the possibilities, all the, like, I get chills. I really get chills. And it's so funny because majority of people in my circles now are over 40. And it's like, oh, you're still a baby. Like, you still have time. I feel so grateful for being on this journey at 33 as opposed to 43 or 53. Because when I think about the future, and when I'm like, what is there a possibility to create, to experience for myself, for my kids, for my husband, for our family? Like, I really get chills and my eyes tear up, and I really get so excited and so grateful for every single obstacle that I had to overcome, every single thing that life has thrown at me. And it's so funny because sometimes when you're sitting there and you're having the pity party, you think you're the only one, that your situation is the worst. Or you turn around and it's like, oh, I'm fine, right? A friend of mine lost her husband a few years ago. At she was 30, like 1 or something. She lost her husband, the dad of her newborn daughter. I was like, I don't have problems. She is the one who's really suffering, but that's another thing you keep pushing aside. It's like, oh, oh, thank you, Demetrius. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. When you play that comparison game and you again try to sweep things from the rug thinking I'm fine, right? I'm fine, and you keep building up that wall, you keep building the barriers around you and compartmentalize yourself, it doesn't work that way, because sooner or later those things catch up with you. And when they do, it's not pretty. But again, you have the choice of how you are gonna act and how you're gonna react. And I know I've been going on for about, I don't know, I lost track of time. Like I said, I can talk for hours on this topic. And it's so funny, if you met my college coach from 14 years ago, when I first came to New York, I barely spoke any English. I was the most quiet person, the most shy person. Hey, Lily. And she tolerated me for a few months. Like, okay, I'll give you some time to warm up. And then at one point, she stopped the practice, she stood me in the middle of the court, and she made my entire team sprint. And she turned to me and was like, okay, you have a choice. No pun intended, you have a choice. You either talk or they sprint. Okay, I'll talk. I haven't stopped talking ever since. No, but the thing is that, at the end of the day, especially when you are in a relationship, where you're in a marriage, when you have family, when you have people who depend on you, who you co-create your life with, it is really easy to fall into the role of being the supportive, the co-actor, right? The supporting role, where you put yourself aside in order for somebody else to be happy, in order for somebody else to feel fulfilled, in order for somebody else to feel at ease or at peace or not being upset. It's not on you to do that. It's not on you to take on their pain. It's not on you to take on their anger, to take on whatever experiences they have been through. They have to live. They have to work through their own experiences. They have to grow, expand, or contract. They can't do both. But in order for the partnership able to evolve, to sustain, you have to work on yourself, because if you can't bring 100%, it's gonna start showing cracks. It's eventually gonna fall apart. Now, here's one of the things that I am a firm believer in. I don't believe in 50-50. I don't believe in meeting halfway through. I believe in I bring 100%, he brings 100%, or she, depending on what relationship you're in and who you are. It's 100%. And in order for me to show 100%, I had to leave New York. I had to come to Slovenia. I had to get back to my roots. I had to take care of my health. I had to reconnect with my essence, because I have lost the side of who I was, of who I am, when I was living in New York, when I was the one who adjusted, the one who changed, the one who was always putting myself last. It broke me, because I thought that I could do it. I thought that I was strong enough. I thought that the laws of the universe somehow did not apply to me. No one is that special that the laws of the universe don't apply to them. I somehow thought that I was. Who knows, right? Depending on the level of degree of expanded consciousness. What do you mean, Demetrius? Can you collaborate on that? But it is on you. And if you're miserable, if you feel trapped, if you feel unheard, if you feel unfulfilled, if you feel disrespected, if you feel that you're not living your true potential, 50-50. Well, yeah, I guess depends on how you're looking at it. But like I said, from my standpoint, if I'm not at my 100%, I can't ask for my husband to bring 110% to fill my void. He can't fix me. He can't fill up the space that I'm supposed to fill. When it comes to chores, when it comes to other responsibilities, yeah, of course 50-50 works. But if I'm not bringing my 100%, I'm creating that void that can be greater and greater and greater, and the cracks appear, and essentially it's like a crack in a glass. It's going to fall apart. But yeah, you have to really be honest with yourself. Take some time. Be with yourself. Be brutally honest. What is that you have around you, that you have attracted? What is that vision that you have? And please dare to dream big. Don't obsess with the how. Dream big. Allow yourself to have your minds explode. Perception, interpretation, perspective. Oh, yeah, for sure. And then see, is that life that you are living, is that life that you are creating for yourself, is the life that you settled for, right? Is it really serving you? Is it serving the ones around you? And if not, what can you do about it? And if that means climbing up on that ledge and taking a leap, now, not talking physical jump off a ledge, please know that. You have to take that responsibility. You have to take that responsibility for your actions, for your feelings, for your emotions, for your belief systems, for your actions, for the habits that you're creating, for the results that you're creating. And if at any moment you notice that this is simply not it, then it's your responsibility to change that. Because no one's going to come save you. No one's going to come check in on you to make sure, that you're okay and show you the guidelines. You have that internal compass that's showing you the way. But even then, even that compass, it can only work correctly when you really are clear on where you're going, and when you really are clear on eliminating all the obstacles that your own mind's going to put into place. Because at the end of the day, it's like, I'm using my own example and example for my clients. Like, I invested in all the strategies. I've invested here and I invested there, and these tactics and these tools. They're not going to work unless you are super clear on who you are. Because essentially what you're going to start recognizing is that you are so unique. You are your own person, that what has worked for somebody else, you can't just copy paste it and apply it to you, to your life, to your business. And especially if you're copying from those 98%, forget it, right? Odds are even slimmer. But you're going to start trusting your own intuition. You're going to develop your own voice. You're going to develop your own, like a guide that's going to nag you when you get off course. And you will know it, you will feel it, you will hear it. But again, it takes guts to follow it. And that's what really separates those 98% from the 2, or 99 from 1%. It takes guts to follow that voice. It takes guts to answer your calling, to live a life that's unconventional, to do things differently that everybody around you has done them, to stand up for yourself and say, this no longer works for me, I'm walking away from this, I want more. It takes guts to do this. But at the end of the day, this is all about the decisions that you're making for yourself, for your life, and consequently for those around you. And when you think the long term, it does get easier. When you think short term, yeah, it might be scary, it might be painful, it might be overwhelming. So keep your eyes on the big picture. Don't obsess about the how. The how is gonna happen. But when you make the energetic commitment, decide, when you decide, oh my gosh, when you make the decision, it's like so much space. You will notice, hey Sasha, you'll notice so much space open up in your mind that was previously preoccupied with all those doubts and fears and all the stuff. There's like, what was I even wasting time with that? Of course I'm meant to do this. Of course I can do this. Of course I deserve it. Of course I'm worthy. Hello. So anyway, thank you for each and every one of you who have shared this time here with me, for engagement, for comments, for conversation. Demetrius, this was amazing. Thank you. And greetings to London. Sasha, greetings to Barcelona. And thanks. Love. Bye.